Hello everyone. So as Christina has mentioned, I'm a lawyer at Edge International Law Firm, a Portuguese law firm. We are now over 30 years of experience, and our niche, our base of clients has always been foreigners, non-Portuguese, with an interest in Portugal, either living there or investing, either individuals or companies. So we have focused since these NHR, which I will try to explain a bit more in depth for you, started. And we have clients from all over the world for residency visas, either the golden visa or other types of visa. And the law firm provides the whole range of legal service and areas of expertise. So Portugal has become, in the last few years, a very popular place to live and to invest and to travel. My only surprise is that this has not started before, because we have unique conditions in terms of climate, weather, safety that allows for this. And in the last few years, this has finally been completely discovered. It's no longer a hidden treasure. So all sorts of international publications speak about Portugal in terms of, and it's not just one particular aspect. There is the safety. The Global Peace Index mentions we are on the top 3 safest countries in the world, and this includes both. Unfortunately, in these days, we have a situation in Europe where there's quite a strategic problem. Portugal is precisely on the other opposite of Europe, and internally, the crime rate is one of the lowest in Europe, so you can freely walk in every town, even in Lisbon, anytime, without any problem. The health situation with COVID has shown that the work by the health authorities has been very good. We are in Europe, the most vaccinated country, and one of the most vaccinated countries in the world. In order to become a tax resident, you may need, and with Brexit, if you are a British national without any EU passport, you definitely do need a residency visa in order to be able to live in Portugal. Okay? So this regime was introduced to attract new tax residents to Portugal, in particular high net worth individuals, even though there is not a de minimis, there is not a minimum amount of income to become an HR, and also high added value activities. This status is granted for 10 years, it's not renewable, and in those 10 years you have considerable reductions or even exemptions in some types of income. It's not a flat exemption. Portugal is not an offshore country, it's a European Union country, so the treatment is only for specific types of income. But for example, on pensions, you have a 10% flat rate regardless of the amount of your pension income, and dividends, interests and royalties will be completely tax-free. except if they come from an offshore jurisdiction. In terms of professional income, we need to look at each specific case, but there is either a flat rate of 20%, depending on your activity, or even in some cases, a full exemption. So this all works under the double taxation treaties mechanism, and Portugal is one of the countries in the world with more double taxation treaties signed. With the UK, we have one since the 1970s. The starting point should be becoming a tax resident. So what are the requirements to be a Portuguese tax resident? It's either the number of days, and we have the international criteria of 183 days spent in Portugal, or if by any reason you travel a lot, or your professional life, you don't manage to spend 183 days, then you must treat your Portuguese address as your main address worldwide. That means that it's your home, it's your base, and you don't spend any more time than in Portugal in any other jurisdiction. This is done by declaration, so the tax authorities actually do, in principle, believe in what you're saying, and you need a proof of address, which you should prove either by a rental contract or a purchase deed, and a residency permit. This is what we're going to cover next as a result of Brexit. So, as part of the NHR services, EDGE has a number of steps that we normally need to undertake. The first thing normally is to obtain a non-resident tax number, or NIF. This is basically your tax ID with the Portuguese tax authorities. It always starts by a non-resident tax number. So you can do that at a distance. You just need to send us your passport, proof of your address here, and we are able to obtain that for you. That will be used for your rental contract, for your purchase deed, for opening a bank account, almost anything. If you have been in Portugal, you probably have noticed that everyone is always asking for that. Then, the residency. So, you need to show your rental contract or property purchase, and then there is an appointment with CEF, which is the immigration authorities. Depending, the process varies depending on the type of visa which is more suitable for you, and we'll discuss that in more detail. After you have both your tax number, your residency, and your address, of course, you can then register as tax resident, which basically means you change your tax address to Portugal, and as you cannot be tax resident in two places at the same time, you need to inform HMRC, if you are a UK tax resident, that you have moved your address to Portugal and you are no longer a UK tax resident. After you become tax resident, the door is open for the NHR application, which is what gives you the advantages in terms of income tax that we've discussed. This is not automatic, so even if you become tax resident, you need to do a separate application for the NHR, and our firm, EDGE, covers all of that. So, step 5, you have your NHR status. Now, regarding the residency, before Brexit, UK nationals were European Union nationals. So, if you wanted to have a residency permit to live in Portugal all the time. You just needed a Portuguese address, go to the town hall, and in the same day you had a European Union residence certificate. Unfortunately, that's changed. It's what it is. And so you need now a residency visa, as any other what we call third countries, meaning non-EU, need. So it's the same situation as US nationals, all the rest of the world. The main types of visa that most of British nationals are resorting to, it's what is commercially called golden visa and also the D7 visa. So the golden visa is an investment visa. That's what the legal side of the legislation, of the requirements specifically say. And in all these years since it started, and it's been very successful, the main type of investment has been in property. So there was a minimum investment, normally 500,000 euros. In a few cases it was less. And with that, and with a number of requirements, you need clean criminal records, a number of bureaucratic elements, you would be able to get your visa. The legislation has changed since the beginning of this year, since the 1st of January, regarding the possibilities of investment. What has been the main change is that you are no longer able to buy property anywhere in Portugal, for example, in the main cities or in some of the coastline. That doesn't qualify anymore for golden visa. And the reason for that is very simple. The market was already very developed in those areas, and so there was no need for such an additional incentive to investment. So the idea of the government was to divert that to the islands, the Madeira and Azores, and the interior of Portugal. The next slide, I'll show you a map detailing that. Many people have now diverted to investment funds, and I know that there are some stands here that can explain the products they have, which also qualify for the golden visa. Normally, what we say is that the golden visa is more geared for someone who is not yet sure they are going to spend all the time in Portugal, to live in Portugal, but they want to have that possibility. Because the minimum time of residence in Portugal with the golden visa is 7 days a year. Of course, you can live the full year, but you don't have any requirement to be there for a longer time. If your intention is to live permanently in Portugal, then maybe the D7 is more geared for you, because it doesn't have a minimum investment. You just need to show that you have enough funds to support yourself. Here, as we can see, these are the new areas in green where you can still invest in property for golden visa. This is the mainland Portugal, of course, but as I mentioned, the islands of Madeira and Azores also qualify. So, just a brief note regarding the funds. So, the qualifying criteria is that it must be Portuguese investment or venture capital funds, maturity of at least 5 years, and apply 60% of their capital to invest in companies incorporated in Portugal. So it cannot be any fund. It must be specifically approved for golden visa. The minimum investment now is 500,000 euros. going to the D7, this was initially called, incorrectly I must say, by some people a retirement visa. And the reason for that was that most of the applicants initially were retired people. But it's not only for those people, it's basically for anyone who wants to live permanently in Portugal and can show that they have enough regular income to support themselves and not to be a burden for the Portuguese state. One of the big differences of the process is, as I mentioned, there is no investment required, and also the process starts not in Portugal, but in the country where you currently live, in the Portuguese consulate. Then, after you have your appointment in the Portuguese consulate, you have a visa issued to travel to Portugal, and you have an appointment with the immigration authorities in Portugal, where they will issue the visa. Our firm has a specific department where they will assist with that. They're very experienced and have assisted many British clients since Brexit. Just for your information, these are the basic general documents required. As you can see, it's not a very complicated or bureaucratic process. It's the normal proof of address, Portuguese bank account, criminal records, and travel insurance. So these are our contact details, and we will be in our stand if you need any more assistance. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Gonçalo.